Well, boys, we are gathered here to
Yep.
solemnly say farewell to Akira Toriyama, the legend of
Yep.
a lot of creative things and a very huge impact on probably all of our lives.
Yeah.
At
Oh
least,
yeah.
at least for the three of us, I would say growing up,
Say
growing up with this guy.
most boys in the U.S., most boys around our age uh, were were impacted heavily
Let's start.
by this dude.
Let's start by reminiscing the first time each of us has come in contact, like your earliest memory of finding out about this man's work. Um, I can go first because
Yeah.
it's been on my mind, and I've been trying to pinpoint the exact moment because
hmm
I got introduced to Dragon Ball Z. I didn't even know what anime was at a certain age. I think
Yep.
I was probably in fourth or fifth grade,
Yep.
and it was
Yeah. You would have been in about fourth grade because I was in second, second or third grade. So
okay. Okay. Yeah, I was living in Sioux Falls, and I was over at a friend's house, and at the time there was no Cartoon Network that I knew
uh-huh.
that was like a Toonami or anything like that. Um, but they had somehow received a signal of some kind, like a satellite signal of foreign cartoons and things like that. So like they were playing
Nice.
Honey,
Astro Boy, and they
I
were
think we're getting
playing.
a signal.
It was like this is the memory that I have. Like it's
Yeah.
I wasn't at my house. I was at a friend's house, and we are playing Legos and stuff like that. I was eating breakfast over at his place after a sleepover or something like that, and the TV popped on, and it was playing the early parts of um, the first saga of like Raditz like
Yeah.
coming in, and I think it was at the episode where Vegeta and like Krillin was gonna throw his Destructo disc at Vegeta, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like I have never seen anything like this before, and then like it didn't dawn on me until later when I like started watching Toonami. Like, oh my god, I've seen this before. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even like recall what it was called when I was that young. Like it didn't
Right.
translate to my head. Like I didn't ask my friend like what is this or anything like that. Um, but yeah, then I started to remember those memories from when I initially saw it, when I first saw it on Toonami, and
hmm
that's when I was probably in fifth grade. Um,
Yep.
that Toonami started and played constantly the Frieza saga, like back and forth, the Saiyan saga and things like that. Because
Right.
they'd get to a certain point, and then they'd go back and start the whole
hmm
thing over because they didn't get the, I don't know, maybe they didn't get the translations done in time or anything like that. I don't know their broadcast schedule, but
Right.
I was very I was pretty young, but it was such an impressionable piece of art that
Right.
I was really heavily involved with like watching WWF at the time and
Yep.
WCW,
Yep.
and that just struck us like such a hard core inside me. Like, oh my god, fighting and people going to the limit and like
Yeah.
yelling and shooting beams of energy at each other. Like that just
hmm
it was something that like connected with me or resonated so deeply in my like my psyche at the time. Like I need this, and yeah, it was just I'm indebted to people like Akira Toriyama and those figures that are creative and
Right.
want to put their creativity out there and make it accessible, because
Right.
a lot of his stuff is accessible. Like he does a lot of his own style, and
hmm
he gets kind of raunchy in a few places, but
Oh yeah.
he can
A little cheeky.
a little cheeky, yeah. But I think that's just par for the course for a lot of
Yeah.
creators, that they like to expand their horizons and do whatever they
he's
want.
he's of a time where that was just very commonplace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was
the sense of humor and the yeah.
very tongue in cheek, very kind of cheeky. But
Yeah.
that was my first introduction to him. We can go through
Yeah.
your guys' now, like how you got introduced, or what
So-
came about.
So I couldn't tell you exactly when I started like watching it brand new, you know what I mean? Like, so I remember very vividly, like I know I started watching it in third grade. And the yeah, it must have been right away, because like I was looking it up, the ocean dub of it started airing on Toonami in September of 1998, which would have been third grade for me. I'm fairly certain, because I remember that because it's connected to very vivid memories. That show, because like I remember at that time I went to Centennial, and there was these two classrooms that were outside of the main building by the playground. They were two little kind of house-looking things, and that's where I had class at, where my third grade class was. And so it was always dope, because you walk out the door of the classroom of the building there, and you're right at the playground, right? And like, when you're on the playground, you're playing all different stuff like Power Rangers or whatever shit. And like, I remember that year when that had come out, it was winter, and it was outside, and like, that show was just rushing through my head, and I was like sitting there, and I pretended to do like a little Kamehameha,
Mm-hmm.
and when I did that, some kid slipped on the ice and fell, and I was like, oh, fucking sick. But that was like, once I started, like you, Tyler, I was a big, I watched a lot of wrestling, and like, like all the superhero stuff always, appealed to me. So, wrestling's very much like that, and like, Power Rangers, Turtles, all that stuff. So when that came on, it was very right up my alley, and something new, obviously I hadn't seen before.
Let's get Wilson to talk about his first introductions. I want to know when he got exposed to the works, if it was Dragon Ball or anything else.
I think my first time was when I was on vacation somewhere. We just like turned on the TV in the morning while everybody was like getting ready and doing their thing, and we were flipping channels, and it just had, I don't even remember what channel it was specifically, but it was the first episode of Dragon Ball Z where they're on Master Roshi's island, and Raditz comes and visits and kidnaps Gohan, etc. And I didn't know what it was. I was unfamiliar with like anime as a thing, really. I think I was still pretty young and probably just watching like cartoons. But I was intrigued because it was like, ooh, muscly people, and they're being dramatic, and it's interesting. And I think it wasn't until later that one of my friends, it was probably soon after that, like I got home, and the Toonami wave hit. Either, and I just remember other friends having like VHSs of the movies really early on. Like as I was getting introduced to it, I had friends that were like, "Hey, I've got World's Strongest on VHS, or Tree of Might, or what was the other one?
Zone.
I don't know if it was. I think it was probably like was that the Garlic Jr. one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. So
It was Dead Zone.
They had those three on VHS, and it was like their parents had got them imported from a friend, just through like happenstance or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was just
so
basically
many of those like random friends that had fucking hookups like that out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So weird. In that time, weird.
But and then yeah, I basically like when I sought it out just on Toonami, like I would get home from school and it would be like the perfect time, like
Hmm.
walk in the door, um, put my backpack down, maybe like get a snack, just see like what's going on around the house, and then by the time that that's all done, Dragon Ball Z is about to start. So I'm like, oh, I'll watch an episode of Dragon Ball Z or like a couple of episodes of whatever's on Toonami, and then get to the homework, etc. So it was perfect timing there, and I didn't really follow to watch like GT, and I
Right.
haven't seen all the movies and everything like that, but I'm definitely a big fan of Akira Toriyama, more than just for Dragon Ball Z. I like Dragon Ball actually more than Dragon Ball Z.
Hmm.
Um, I think
Better
on
story overall.
honestly, yeah, better story overall, and I just think the characters are more consistent as well.
Well, it was
Right.
more about the Dragon Balls, like like in Dragon, like the newer Dragon Ball stuff. To me, I think is just not a whole lot of Dragon Ball hunting and like wishes being done. It's just like let's see how
To
strong
be
Goku
fair,
can get.
only that first storyline of Dragon Ball was about the Dragon Balls. It kind of drifts pretty quick.
Mhm.
But that's like a lot of people's motivation was like finding the Dragon Balls and like
Right.
it's all what happens in between them. Like, all right, let's go back and find them.
Right.
Like the only one
Um,
that keeps doing like the Dragon Ball story is like Emperor Pilaf. He keeps showing up. He's like, I need those
Yeah.
Dragon Balls.
yeah,
He's the only one that
Yeah.
cares.
I'll just
Yeah.
finish
Because
my
it quickly becomes just Goku training after that first storyline.
I'll finish my piece with like one specific memory that I always latch on to that has to do with Dragon Ball Z, which is we had growing up a van. We as a family we had a van that had like a screen in it and like a VCR
Hmm.
in the center console, so you could hook up game consoles to it with like the audio video cables. And so I remember a time that we took a road trip to the cities, to the Twin Cities, and I brought my PS2 and I was playing it on the road. And every time we would hit a bump, I would like hold my breath, like, is the game gonna skip?
Oh
Yeah.
shoot!
And when we were in the cities, I got the first Budokai game.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
And I remember
Love
on the
that
way
franchise.
home from the cities back home, I'm playing Budokai like basically the whole way back. Just like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, I've there's a you talking about the friend that like got the movies somehow through like some weird
Mhm.
like potentially got them imported or whatever. Reminded me of um I don't know if you remember him, Wilson. There's my old neighbor Nate that like that lived like across the street from me. Um um Trying to figure how to whatever. I think you met him like once back in the day, but when you were staying over. But he, I remember very vividly at my old house. I was downstairs in like our like family room or whatever where the TV was at. There's a phone there. And I was sitting on the phone talking to him, and he was telling me about his friend who um, was downloading like episodes of Dragon Ball Z, like Japanese episodes, like ahead of time. Um, and and he was telling me about how like for where he's at or like what he's gotten. There's Vegeta um and Bulma have a son, and his name's Trunks, and he's got purple hair. And he's like, "Cause get it, cause she's got like blue hair, and he's got like black hair." And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But, but like, um, so like he told me about that, and then like before it happened, he told me about because he was getting episodes of GT, because I think GT was airing at the time, maybe. Um, but he was telling me about uh was one of the coolest things too, because many years later when GT finally aired, I was able to I was like, oh shit. He was telling me about a scene in GT where Vegeta is driving with his daughter after they go shopping, and then some dudes pull up and start hitting on her, and he starts banging his car against their car, and he reaches over and rips their steering wheel off, and they go careening over a cliff. And I was like, what? That's ridiculous. And then fucking GT starts. That's the first episode of GT. And I see that. I was like, holy shit, this kid was right. And like, it was so weird because it was like, I don't know how like this dude got his hands on it. He was just some fucking nerd in Fargo, but he managed it. There's always some weird dudes with some access to something somehow. And yeah, the very vivid memories of that too. Yeah.
Well, how about we just go through some art of this?
Yeah.
This guy. Let's just admire some of the styles, because I don't know about you, but this guy got me into like drawing. Like a lot of it, like his style,
oh, yeah, me too.
his style and everything. Like I don't know what I was drawing before, but it was just random characters and monsters and stuff. But then once this guy's art came out, I was like, how he draws cloth hanging off people, like I just loved it.
The drapery,
the hair, like I loved it.
I would sit on the floor. I would sit on the one fun thing quick with this. You see how like how Majin Buu's got the thing, it's got a 42 on it. That would be like the volume of the like manga that it was at the time. On various things, be it like machinery or like cars or something like that, there'd always be the number of what the volume was at the time. But I was gonna say, yeah, I used to sit on the floor and stare at the poster on my door and like copy that poster all the time, or like look at pictures on the computer.
Yep.
And like sit and copy them. I realized today, like, because I had a little bit of time at the end of the day, like 5-10 minutes before close, so I was just kind of sitting at the counter, and I was just like, let's see if I remember how to draw any of these motherfuckers. So you look at that image there, the one you were just on, the 23 on the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing. It was like I think that's was a cover, and that's a volume number. I love that picture. And so like I tried to draw stuff like from memory. I still remember how to do Goku's hair fairly well. I can't do the faces as well anymore. I kind of lost that muscle, but I realized I kind of learned how to do a 3/4 or not 3/4, 2/3 angle on a face or whatever, based off of like the image I copied to learn how to draw Vegeta all the time.
Yeah.
Like, because it was like a kind of a 2/3 angle where you like saw, mostly one side of his face but a little bit of the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just same thing. It was just it made you want to draw. And like,
there's something about his style that I just wanted to like use his style and make my own characters. Like I would I would make their clothes and their musculature and their like faces, but I would make my own hair, I would color it my own way, and I would change the color of their clothes to fit my color palette and things like that. But yeah, I just love the style.
Little fun fact, Dragon Ball started in the manga was, I think it was 82 maybe, was when he started it. He had a previous successful longer running series called Dr. Slump.
Yeah, I saw like his works.
Yeah, that's where Arali comes from.
There's a lot of crossover I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
The little android
he started
guy.
Dragon Ball in like 82-ish, I think, and that along with the manga Fist of the North Star are what kind of created or popularized the shonen genre, which is like, you know, it's the most famous, probably, at least to like our generation of people, most famous genre of anime manga, which is manga and anime directed at young boys. And it's often like the hero's journey type stuff. But like if you ever but he's like the basis. Like his, like more than anything, like Dragon Ball is the basis for that stuff. So if you watch any like shonen that came after, and they all say it, they owe everything to Dragon Ball, and like all the tropes come from that. I mean, like when I tell you, main character is a lovable doofus who eats a bunch of food, has a power a secret power that's within him that manifests as a giant animal. He's got an enemy that's also a friend with black hair. That's constant rival, but is also like his like staunchest ally, with a girl with odd colored hair that ends up falling in love and getting together with the bad guy / good guy. Like you would say that I'm talking about Dragon Ball, right? But what I'm talking about is Naruto. Like that's the same, like, because it's the tropes created in Dragon Ball or popularized in Dragon Ball are the ones that get brought over into everything. That's why you get, Luffy, kind of the same thing, right? Kind of loud, kind of goofy, eats a lot. Like that's like, it's these tropes that Toriyama either created or popularized in Dragon Ball, and all these shonens that followed after, adopted into their formula, because it's, you know what I mean? Like it's the genre. It's just like how, every superhero has, certain things like an inciting incident, a tragedy, you know what I mean? Like they all have these tropes that come from an origin point, and Dragon Ball is kind of the origin point for a lot of, shonen manga and anime.
Yeah, you're right. How about I skipped over this, but we're gonna watch a quick encapsulation of what it's like growing up with it, and what it means to like a lot of newcomers to the mediums too, because a lot of people are getting introduced to a lot of newer shonen things, or just newer animes, and then kind of going back to
My
Dragon
Hero
Ball.
Academia and stuff like that.
But this is I don't know if you guys watched this, but I posted it in our Discord. This is the
hell yeah,
the Kakarot game trailer, and this is a guy that's witnessing kids just playing around. But I'll let you guys watch it.
あの頃あの頃あの頃あの頃オープニングに胸がワクワクした
Do you remember doing stuff like this?
Yep. 100%.
アニメの翌日はその話で持ちきりでみんなで真似
Not unconvinced that wasn't behind the reason why a lot of us spiked our hair in the fucking early 2000s.
That's true. Frosted tips and everything.
Yeah, right? Hell yeah. The parents walk in on you doing embarrassing
my
shit.
mom making DBZ sounds.
What are you doing in here?
Now mom knows I'm not cool.
Dude, Head Shala is such a banger for a fucking theme song.
Oh, he went Kaioken.
Yeah. Head Shala.
はみんな孫悟空だ。ドラゴンボール Z カカロット。
I would destroy you in a fight.
I'd kick your ass.
Yeah, like
Such a strong nostalgia there.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's just it hits you so much because it introduces new people, but like you had that history of reading it, watching
When you were
it.
a kid, and
You were giving Goku the energy for the spirit bomb. Like,
Yep.
I think that was like a call out to like everybody watching too. Like, I
Dude,
think like
right?
I would give him some power. I was like, oh yeah, I'll raise up my hand. Hell yeah, this is all interactive.
It just reminds me too of how big and like important like to like us in pop culture at the time all those big moments were where he went Kaioken and again for the first time when he's fighting Vegeta, and like when he goes Super Saiyan, when he goes and fights Frieza, and when he goes Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, when Gohan goes Super Saiyan, when he goes Super Saiyan 2, and then like the father son Kamehameha, like
Yeah.
all that stuff was like so like was big news, or like a big event for kids our age when it was happening.
And the fright that you felt when Trunks showed up and said, "Hey, you're gonna die of a heart disease, but here,
dude,
take these pills."
yeah, scared scared about it, and
You're like, what?
and how badass Trunks was when he shows up and dispatches King Cold and Frieza like that. And like there's another strong memory. I remember watching that. I had a videotape of it uncut, the Trunks saga, and that first fight between Trunks and Goku, when Goku comes back and Trunks is using his sword and Goku's using his finger. And after they finish, Gohan's like, "Oh man, thankfully he put his sword away." And then Krillin goes, "Yeah, and your dad put his finger away too." That fucking cracked me up when I was a kid. There's at the Super Cyborg 13, Super Android 13 movie. There's a part at the end of the movie during the credits. It's got Vegeta and Piccolo sitting back to back on a rock, like in the middle of the water. And I don't know if this was in the original or if they just did this in the dub. But when it gets the credits end and the music ends, they're sitting there, and Vegeta goes, "Is it over yet?" And Piccolo goes, "It's not over until the fish jumps." And then a fish jumps out of the water, and then he goes, "It's over." And then in the movie just ends right there. Like,
Good. Fourth wall break.
Yeah. Yep. I was gonna say something else. He that was one of the things, is like his humor was always just like you were saying before, it could get a little racy, get a little cheeky, but there's always that strong element of humor in there that helped add some levity to the big serious fights and all that stuff. And it was just something all us boys could latch on to, and like I mean, and not just, as we're seeing here, is not just Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, and not just TV. He had reach in video games too, whether it was Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z video games like the Budokai series, or like you did stuff for Chrono Trigger, right? He did Dragon Quest art, Dragon Warrior, Blue Dragon was another one he did stuff for.
I don't know. I don't know if that was specifically just for game, but he did.
Yeah.
There was an Xbox game that I know of, and then he did
Yeah.
a few DS versions of Blue Dragon.
Yep. He did art for that. I don't know. I don't think he had any like story involvement.
Right.
I think he just did art for it. Kind of like I think Dragon Quest was the same thing where he just kind of did art for it.
But yeah, like when I saw for the first time Chrono Trigger, I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like I knew of Dragon Ball at the time, and I was like, okay. But I guess like it totally lapsed my brain because I wasn't a SNES kid. I was a N64 kid. There wasn't a lot of media that had, Akira Toriyama stamped on N64 stuff. So it took me a while to figure out what Chrono Trigger was, and then putting the two and two together. I'm like, why is this guy copying like Dragon Ball? Because like the main character looks like Goku but with red hair.
Right. Dude, and his monsters and his robots and like technology stuff like that, his
Yeah,
vehicles and stuff.
you can tell he
are all
loves
just
cars.
So good. So good.
I think he was a car enthusiast because he has a lot of machines and a lot of like you saw those pictures of like Goku on a scooter and hanging off of cars and stuff like that. He really liked drawing cartoony cars.
No matter what he's working on, anytime that I would hear like throughout the years, you would just hear like, oh, and maybe just like the villain design or this one certain aspect would be worked on by Akira Toriyama, and you'd be like, oh, that's really cool. And even without seeing it, you would just be able to picture in your head like, oh, okay, he's doing an evil wizard. Okay, I can pretty well picture what an Akira Toriyama evil wizard might look like.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I highly suggest, because all of us obviously have our strong Dragon Ball Z memories are obviously very much tied to the anime of it. I highly suggest anybody or everybody check out like some of the stuff we're seeing here, like the stuff from the manga that he actually drew, what he was actually doing, because it was very, very good. A lot of the stuff that people always, there's my boy right there, dude. That was a big moment for me right there. The Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. A lot of people, when you talk about Dragon Ball Z, a lot of people will bring up some of the things like the, drawn out fights, or like, like the pacing's kind of weird, like taking forever to do a transformation and power up, whatever. That's just a purely TV thing. You know what I mean? Like, it was, how do we like most financially efficiently use screen time. So that was a lot of that stuff of just powering up over multiple commercial breaks, or like the Goku Frieza fight taking forever, 4 episodes or whatever it was. Wasn't that long really in the manga or whatever, but a lot of that is part of its pacing, right? And like they don't want to get too caught up to where the manga is at the time or whatever. But so that's not stuff that's like in the books, right? The pacing's much better and faster and whatever. And the drawing is just so good, and so energetic, and more detail. I mean, it looks very much like the anime, but there's more detail to it, because again, he's not working with a animation budget where you have to kind of skimp here and there. Yeah, just look at that vehicle. Like, it looks like it works, right? It's made up. It's totally made up, but like all the parts and everything, like it looks like it works.
It looks like
it's a functioning machine.
Yeah, it looks like a little dune buggy. It's got exhaust. It's got like a little jet propulsion and an engine and
gun attached to it. Hell yeah, dude.
Roshi with a gun.
Oh boy. And it's another story I have.
Oh fucking hells yeah, dude! Lord Piccolo.
I have a very, very, because like I said, Dragon Ball Z started being broadcast on Toonami in 98, end of 98, when I was in 3rd grade. And then Dragon Ball Z, and then it went back and did Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball GT. They did all of that, and when GT ended was when Wilson and I were in like 9th grade, I think. And the very last episode of GT, I remember watching it at my house, in my room, and the episode, he's like, telling him like, he's not gonna come back unless he's like absolutely needed, like he's gonna be gone forever, right? And Goku starts like walking into the crowd, and while he's doing that, then a montage starts, and it goes through the events of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and GT. I just saw it again like yesterday. It popped up, but it goes through like him meeting all his friends, all the big bad guys that he fought, like all that stuff from Dragon Ball through Dragon Ball Z and through GT. And then like it ends with him flying up into the air, Goku just flying up into the air to disappear. And I remember watching that as like a 14-year-old boy, and I remember getting a little teary-eyed because it felt like my childhood was over. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
because that was 9th grade. I was about to start high school, and like this piece of my childhood that had been with me since 3rd grade was ending, right? Like no more new stuff, like it's over. And I just remember like that hit me hard. That's like a fucking 14-year-old boy. Just a very vivid memory of that.
I'm gonna go back
Yeah.
to this picture of his art supply stuff. I just
Oh,
got
yeah.
a kick out of that, like
Mhm.
all his different things he uses, and
Good.
he has cigarettes as part of it.
Yeah.
And I like this
They were,
on his G pen. I put the
Yep.
nib all the way in.
All the way in. He was talking about. They asked him if he would, because he doesn't when he was doing Super, he didn't draw it anymore, right? The other guy, Toyotaro, was doing the drawing, and he was doing like he was co-writing it with him, right? And someone at one point would ask him if he would ever draw like a manga again, and he was just like, no. I had a favorite pen, like a favorite pen nib holder that he had since he was like a kid or something like that, or younger, that his family member gave him or something like that. And he's like, through like a move or something, he lost it, and he doesn't like drawing without it, so he's just not going to draw anymore.
Wow.
Like,
Nice.
yeah,
Well,
he was just like at a regular drawing anyway. That there's that Sandland image that you pulled up earlier
yeah.
in here,
Yeah, it's back here, I think.
way back there. But that apparently was the last piece that he drew and completed. Probably for promotion for the movie or the video game or the anime something. But this was apparently the last completed piece of art that he did. Yeah, so he was still doing stuff, and he designed all like the characters and stuff, and like he wrote the the stuff for Broly and for Superhero. Did the character designs for all those characters in there, and like so he was still heavily involved in stuff, but he just didn't draw a manga anymore.
Yeah, his relation, like his characters, I don't know if he had any say in how they're developed in the story, but his ideas for Gohan were so great. Like, I love how Gohan like is helping this dinosaur get out of a pickle, because like it's telling a story. It's like he's helping this little like dinosaur with a broken foot get out of.
Great storyteller.
Clearly, like went out to catch bugs because look at his net.
Yeah.
And then he just stumbled across this injured dino, and which should be like a scary dinosaur. He's just like, nah, he's a friend.
But man. Have you noticed him like drawing a lot of vehicles? I think he just loves drawing cars, and then he just
love drawing vehicles.
He puts people in them.
Drawing monsters.
If you look at this one of I think it was Bulma in the car, you can kind of see that she's got some his branded cigarette cartons right there. Found that kind of funny.
Yeah, like look at that thing back there, the weird walker.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. Like it's a motorcycle, or it's like a Vespa.
It's like a motorcycle, but it's got legs. Yeah.
Just interesting concepts. It's a Capsule Corp thing, and they're his Fiat.
So yeah, like if you never have, I highly suggest you guys out there look at his drawings, because that's the man did very, very, as you're seeing, very very awesome work. Iconic. Yeah, just beautiful stuff. So yeah, definitely take a look at that stuff. Seen some stuff from Dr. Slump there. There's dude.
Smoke up, dude.
Marlboro car.
Bunch of kitty cats. Yeah, I'm just gonna admire some of these because this is just, you want to go to characterdesignreferences.com and just search Akira Toriyama. You can just find a ton of these things used for different stuff. Oh, he's gaming.
Oh yeah.
I think that's RL. Is that right? RL?
RL, yeah, from Dr. Slump. I think. Yeah, from Dr. Slump.
Some teeth.
Oh yeah.
Is that Launch, or who was
Launch?
that?
Yeah. Yep.
Here's a good one. Chrono Trigger.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Frog, dude.
Frog. Robo.
Yeah.
There's that one.
Yeah.
Pineapple Juice. Wild Duck. Oh, look at
little Street Fighter action.
Street Fighter. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I like Chun-Li back there.
Yeah. I wonder if those are some of his characters as Street Fighter characters. Oh yeah, they look like Dr. Slump characters.
That's definitely a Rel. It's Cammy.
Yeah. So much life in the drawings too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of
energy.
A lot of energy, I would say. Yeah. What was his character's name? Oh my God, this. I had a comic.
Classic.
A comic with this
that
picture.
Cover. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it was issue 4.
Holy shit!
Of the Viz comic size reprints of Dragon Ball Z.
I'm gonna do that, and I would request you guys do something related to this too. Is find every piece of media you have physically of Akira Toriyama or Dragon Ball or whatever, and kind of put it together in a collage.
I've got those fucking DVD box sets for everything.
I don't have anything except my cartridge of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's
add it, put it in there, because that's definitely
put it in
a
where?
huge thing. Just take a picture of it, like just your stuff that you have that is very sentimental. Like obviously now, because we lost a true legend, I would say, and I'm like Bradsho's mom. I don't throw a lot of stuff away, and I do have a lot of these toys somewhere in a garage, probably with my parents somewhere, that
Yeah.
are a ton of like these little Dragon Ball Z toys that have like an arms that pop off.
Yep.
And
Yep. Those are the ones I was talking about with that Super Saiyan Trunks one, where it's like the limited mobility ones.
yeah,
The arms pop off, the like shirts and armor will pop off, and like
yes.
yeah, so you can like battle damage them and shit.
And I have an articulated Trunks that has like opposable elbows and knees.
Yeah.
And you can pull the sword out of his sheath.
Nice.
And that's somewhere in that same bucket of toys. But now I don't want to get rid of them. Like I was contemplating like just giving them away somewhere, but if they're still around, I want to keep them because sentimental.
Yeah.
Show my kids and have them play with them because I'm sure they'd love it too.
I still there's a like a shitty little gotcha game that I play on my phone all the time. Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. I still play that all the time.
Yeah, you and the other Eric Feldy. I had to break the news to him. I was streaming.
He's got a lot of statues and shit.
I was playing Helldivers, and he was on just playing WoW or something like that, and I was like, "Oh my god, Akira Toriyama passed away," and he's like, "What?" Yeah, and then it basically put a damper on like the whole evening of a game session.
Yeah, dude.
We just me and other Eric, we just kept talking about, he talked about Dokkan, and he talked about how they did like a Sandland tribute thing or something like that. And
when the movie came out,
I was telling him there's a cheeky little picture.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, I told him, and then we kind of just reminisced about like growing up with him, and like it meant a lot to that Eric too, like because he's grown up with it. And
he's got a lot of stuff too. Like he'll show you he's got some sick statues that he's gotten. He's got some cool like action figure ones too. Yeah, he's very, very much into it too. Yeah, it fucking it ruined my night that night. And then the next day too, I was just bummed about it. The playlist slash radio, whatever. I think it's a YouTube playlist that we have had running at work. Had like a remixed like little jaunty version of Head Chala in it, and I got fucking sad as shit. I was just like, God damn it. Like I said, I grief shopped that night, and like even like today still like talking about it and like with people, and like dude, even fucking when I was driving home last night, there's I had like a Fox Sports like radio on just because like I just need something to just be on, but not like loud music or anything. Sometimes when I'm done with work, I just want background noise on. And they had a news break, and like the lady that was talking on the news was talking about fucking Akira Toriyama passing away. And that was the weirdest thing ever to hear, just some like Western news lady talking about fucking manga and anime and like, what I mean? Like as like a little, but like it's a huge thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. Like I said, like
I have something funny to say. You finish up though.
But yeah, because like I was saying, because like for like damn near every like little boy of a certain age span, it was a big thing. What I mean? Like it was a cultural phenomenon. I mean, it's still going today, obviously.
Yeah.
But almost 40 years or over 40 years later or whatever. But like it, some about that time, that late 90s, when it first popped up, and it was a lot of people's first exposure to, you know, anime and stuff like that. Yeah, it's yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to say something funny that just I saw. I don't know if it's true. I doubt it is, but there was a picture on Twitter that was going around saying, like, it had a picture of Goku flying the Mexican flag, and it said in a caption, all Mexican drug cartels have ordered a ceasefire in commemoration, or like memorialize Akira Toriyama or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it means a lot to different cultures too. Like, it's crazy. Like,
Yep.
I even watched.
It's a global phenomenon. Yeah, it's huge. You know what I mean? Like,
They watched the Broly, or no, they watched Dragon Ball Super when Frieza and Goku were fighting together.
Yeah.
And they like put it on like a projector in like a town square somewhere in Mexico, and people were freaking going crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Watching that fight go down.
It's a dope fight. Frieza and Goku versus Jiren. Yeah, it's said. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not exclusive to, you know, like I was saying, like boys our age in the late '90s. It's, you know, the thing. Like I said, started in the early '80s, been big in Japan, and then got huge globally, and it's massive globally. Goku had a fucking balloon in the Macy's parade one year.
Yeah,
I
he had
think.
Super Saiyan, like,
Yeah.
a couple years. Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy seeing Goku just fly up there.
Yes, it is. Yeah, man.
I'm gonna leave it with this. This is
Yep.
This is Tori, his character. I'm assuming this is what he calls his character.
His
of him.
self-insert character. Yep.
This is his drawing of. This is me in paradise, and I hope he's in paradise now, drinking his cola,
Yep.
having a cigarette, and looking at
Crackers.
a dirty magazine and having some crackers. And
Model car.
he's got a model Fiat, and
Yep.
you can tell because he loves drawing Fiats, like the compact car.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of those in those images we were looking at. Yep. Yeah, he will be. He was very important to a lot of people, and his work was made a large impact on a lot of people's lives, and more than some people, I think, realized. You know, where, you know, when people heard the news, saw a lot of that, of people just being like, I didn't think it would, you know, affect me as much as it has. You know what I mean? Again, it feels like a piece of your childhood, you know, going away. A guy that's responsible for some great memories, passing away is, you know.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of close it out by saying, if none of you are aware of how he died, it was an acute subdural hematoma, and a lot of cases that is to do with sometimes hitting your head,
A fall or an injury.
Yeah. And when it is acute, it's very sudden. So
Yep.
Not a whole lot has been discussed about it. It's just what caused the death.
Yep.
Yeah, he is a legend. He's definitely a part of our lives. He'll continue to do that, and we will honor him by, you know, continuing to discuss it. And I'm definitely gonna plan on playing the video game of Sandland and probably watching whatever media comes out for it.
The anime when that comes out.
Yeah, and
I know he was working on new story for it too. So
okay.
you know, that'll be, you'll have new story from him in there. Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna close out by saying thanks everyone for watching. If you do want to give us a like, do it to honor Akira Toriyama, and maybe in the comments leave your first interactions with the man, the myth, the legend. Put
your
your
memories, your favorite memories.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, just to keep the conversation going, because yeah, it's a huge loss to a lot of people's childhoods. And I mean,
Mhm.
it wasn't the defining part of a lot of people's childhoods, but it was a major part of like
Major.
growing up and then going into being curious about what else is out there, right? He was a great
Yep.
introduction. Like he kind of opened the door to all these other
Yep.
mediums.
A lot of entry level. Yeah, he was a lot of people's gateway into anime and manga. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very accessible, very fun and
Mhm.
happy. But then you get into all these other different types of anime genres out there, and
Yep.
yeah, so definitely leave us a like and leave Akira Toriyama a like. Find out his, or go look at his art, go read his mangas and things like that. Yeah, we're just gonna sign off by saying good night,
Yep.
and we'll talk to you later.
So long.